Hey everybody, welcome back to a new tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to create realistic snow in Adobe After Effects using Red Giant's Trapcode Particular. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to track our shot using the 3D tracker. This process might take a few minutes. It depends on how fast your computer is and how long your shot is. Once the 3D tracking is done, you're going to select an area, you're going to right click on it, and you're going to create a null object and a camera. Now you're going to create a new solid. Then you're going to look in your effects and presets for Trapcode Particular. You're going to drag that effect onto your solid. And this is where we're going to create the snow using Trapcode Particular. So once you have Particular on your solid, we're going to go down to Particles, and under Particles per second, we're going to set it to 100 to 300 depending of what you think it looks good. Then we're going to go down to the emitter type and we're going to select Box. Then we're going to scroll down to Position Subframe and we're going to set it to 10 times smooth. Then we're going to go to Direction and set it to bidirectional. For the velocity random and the velocity distribution, we're going to set them both to 0. For the emitter size, make sure that it's set to XYZ individual. Now we're going to set the values for the emitter. For the Z value, we're going to set it to something around 10,000 to 14,000. For the X value, we're going to go high as well to something around 10,000 or 8,000. And for the Y value, we're going to keep it low to around 20. Now we're going to scroll down to Particle Master and we're going to set the life to around 100, the particle type to cloudlet, the size to around 3 or 4, the opacity to around 40 or 60%, the opacity random to 25%, and the color, we're going to use the color picker and we're going to choose an area where you have snow in your original shot and you're going to choose that same color so the snow that we're creating with Particular matches the color of the real snow in your shot. If there's no real snow in your shot, you're going to download a picture of snow from Google and you're going to bring that picture into After Effects and you're going to choose the color from that picture. Now we're going to move the position of the particular effect to the top. At the beginning it was in the middle, so we're going to move it all the way to the top. Before we move on, we're going to go back to the emitter and we're going to scroll down to Emission Extra. We're going to set this value to around 35. Now we're going to move down to the physics. We're going to set the physics model to air and the gravity to around 40. Now under air, we're going to set the air resistance to around 0.2 to 0.4. Now we're going to scroll down and set the wind values. For the X value, we're going to leave it at 0. For the Y value, we're going to set it to a positive number or a positive value, something like 40. For the Z value, we're going to set it to a negative value, something like negative 10 or negative 20. For the majority of the values that we've been setting here in Particular, I'm giving you different ranges because it really depends on the final look that you want to achieve. Play around a little bit with the values until you achieve the look that you're looking for. So the snow that we just created looks pretty good, but we still have a couple of issues on this scene. The first one is that the snow looks like it's just falling in the foreground. So we want to create an effect that there's like a three-dimensional effect, so it looks like the snow is falling on the foreground as well as falling in the background of the shot. And the second issue that we have is that the roof of the house, of the little cottage that we have in the shot, is a red roof, and it shouldn't be red because there's snow falling, so it should be covered with snow. So we're gonna fix those two issues right now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new solid using the tracking data that we got on our original shot. Once you have the solid, we're gonna resize it and rotate it until it's parallel to the actual roof of the cottage. Now we're going to right click on the new solid, we're gonna pre-compose it, then we're gonna duplicate our original shot. With Control X or Command X, we're gonna copy it into our new composition, the pre-composition that you just did with the new solid that you just created. Now using Control V or Command V, we're gonna paste the original shot in our new comp. And now you can get rid of you can either mute or you can delete the solid, the original solid that you had. Make sure that you delete the tracking data from this new clip. Now we're going to create a freeze frame. So just right click on it, select time and then freeze frame. Now you're gonna go back to your original composition. You're gonna mute your new pre-comp that you just created. And make sure that you're selecting the comp that is muted. You're gonna use the pen tool and you're gonna create a new mask around the roof, creating the shape of the roof. Once you've created the shape, you're gonna unmute your new comp. And now as you can see, you have the first part of the roof covered with fake snow, which is not really quite fake because we got it from our original shot. On my shot, I had multiple areas that I needed to cover with fake snow. So I basically repeated the same process that I did for the main roof to the other areas that I needed to cover with fake snow. So if you have the same issue, just go ahead and just repeat the same process as many times as you need to. Now to fix our second problem, which is to create a little more of a three-dimensional look, we're gonna do the same thing using the original tracking data from our 3D tracker. We're gonna create a solid in front of the wall of our cottage. Now again, we're gonna resize it and rotate it until it looks like it's parallel to the wall of the cottage. Now we're gonna pre-compose this new solid. Now you're gonna go back to your original composition. You're going to select the layer where you created the fake snow with particular. Now you're going to hit Command X or Control X. And you're gonna go back to your new pre-comp with that other solid that you created next to the wall. And you're gonna paste it. Now you're going to delete that solid because you don't need it anymore. And now as you can see in this new composition that you created, now you have a new layer of snow, right? Now you're gonna resize this composition if you think it needs to be a little bigger or smaller, depending on the size of the wall. And now you're gonna go back to your original composition. Now you're gonna select your second comp and you're gonna mute it. And then using the pen tool, you're going to create a mask with the shape of that wall. If you have, like in my case, I have these tree branches. I kind of wanted to go around it a little bit. So you can, if you have things in the foreground, you can go around those things. But if not, you can just create the shape of the wall of the side wall of the cottage. And as you can see, now you have a three-dimensional kind of look where snow is falling right next to the cottage. Now the last thing that we're going to do is we're just gonna color grade the whole thing. We're gonna create a new adjustment layer. We're gonna put it at the very top. We're gonna use some curves. And with the first curves, we're gonna create a little bit of contrast, bring a second set of curves, and we're going to bring the blues up and bring the reds not all the way down, but we're gonna bring the reds down, and we're gonna keep a little bit of green and make it look a little more wintry, a little more cold, and that looks pretty good. You guys can use the same techniques to apply it to different kind of scenes. If you want to create a winter scene for your films, your short films, it's not that difficult to do. The only thing is you have to have Trapcode Particular, which you can download the free trial to see if you like it. And if you like it, I recommend you getting it because it's super cool, the things that you can do with this plugin. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys on the next one.